Hi, everybody. My name is Marta Manriquez. I'm the coordinator at the Graduate Student Center. Thank you for being here today. I'm just going to introduce Dr. Luis Vega, who's the Interim Associate Dean of Graduate and Undergraduate Studies, and he's going to talk about the Pre-Doctoral and the CDIP programs offered by the CSU Chancellor's Office. Thank you.
Thank you, Marta. So what is nice about this workshop, what's very exciting is that it's a chance to get money into your pocket. And not only that, also to start you on a career to academia, which is a wonderful career, as Dr. Kankars and me myself can tell you. But definitely that's one of the purposes of these two sources of money, which is the Pre-Doctoral Sally Casanova program and the CDIP, which stands for Chancellor's Doctorate Incentive Program. Let's get started here with a new application cycle. Again, these are two programs that put money in your pocket, help you prepare to apply to graduate school. And mostly the push for these two programs is to get underrepresented populations into the faculty. And that includes anywhere from people with disabilities to special populations, small populations like Native Americans, or underrepresented faculty like African Americans, Latinx, women in many fields, people who come from poor backgrounds, right? So anyone who wouldn't otherwise have a chance to apply, and that will include myself, as a first generation and being poor. So this is a great chance to connect with professors and to get the qualifications in place so that you can be receiving one of these awards. And again, it's mostly money and support and faculty guidance. So those will be the main three things through the mentorship that you will get from these two programs. Program comparisons. The easiest way to describe the two is that the California Pre-Doctoral program, that one is also known as the Sally Casanova Scholarship Program, and the people who get it, they're called scholars. And it's mostly for juniors, seniors, and master's students who need preparation to apply to doctoral programs, to get in their resume research experience. And you get $3,000 to apply for school, to buy books, anything related to the preparation to attend conferences. And the exciting thing, in my view, that is not advertised, is that you could get up to another $7,000 to go to a summer experience. So you could go back to Buffalo, New York, and they will pay for the airplane and your living expenses and food. And the best thing is that it's free. This is a scholarship. You don't have to pay back. Unfortunately, you have to pay taxes. So that's the nice thing about the California Pre-Doctoral program, Sally Casanova. The Chancellor Doctoral Incentive Program, that one is to apply to doctoral programs. And they're not going to give you free money, so it's a fellowship. So the people who get it, they're called fellows. And you get a loan, and that loan is up to $30,000. And most people take the $30,000. And then the nice thing is that if you get a job in the Cal State, it'll be forgivable. So after 5 years, they'll forgive the loan. If you don't get a job in the CSU, then you have 15 years to pay it off, and it's a low interest, still good, still a bargain. And a lot of times when universities know that you have this loan, they also, that means the money doesn't have to come from the pockets, and they're more likely to admit you, okay? But in addition to the $30,000, you can get $5,000 for your dissertation. You can go to conferences and they'll pay for that. So here I have a list of students that have won the Pre-Doctoral, the Sally Casanova, and then the Chancellor's Doctoral Incentive Program, or the fellows in that program. And I decided to highlight the students who got the Sally Casanova and then went on into a PhD program, and they got funded for that too. So if you get the first one, there is a good chance you get funded for the second one too. And it's money in your pocket and money for grad school. But I can tell you that graduate school, typically in psychology, the program, when they accept you, they'll provide for you through scholarship, through a teaching assistantship, research assistantship. But a lot of times it's not enough. I myself had to take out a loan to fix my car, to go on conferences, to go for special courses. So it's not bad having the extra money. Just to show you that we have a good track record, that you'll be in great hands with our faculty mentors here. Let me also say that sometimes, as you will see here, the people that have the asterisk, they didn't get the money, but they got an honorable mention. So if you get an honorable mention, you can apply the next year. But you have access to the recruiters. You can go to the conferences where they have skill development, how to write essays, how to do well in school. So you still get aligned in your resume. So just because you don't get the money is not a bad thing, okay? So let me go into the pre-doctoral program, funded in '89. It uses lottery money, and it's to increase the diversity of the faculty to go into grad school. And we're super happy if you can come back to Cal State. Getting people with doctorates and into the faculties of different universities is the goal. So here's what you get with the program to, like I mentioned before, if you didn't think you have a chance to go to a doctoral program at this university, our system is going to help you. And the emphasis is going to be for you to go to PhD programs. And we have an agreement with the University of California. So if you apply to them, you don't have to pay for the application. All the fees are covered, and you don't even have to apply for a waiver. And then they have summer programs like UCLA or Berkeley that will provide housing and food and everything for you for a summer. So that's really a great thing. The students who get this Sally Casanova, that's a great honor because you're a doctoral scholar, and that gives you an edge when you apply to programs too. This is a crucial element of the two programs that you need a mentor. So it's very important that you approach professors and that you get your foot in the door. And I think many, like Dr. Kankars and I will say, you need to, if you take our courses, that's like a good way, right? Professors that you're taking courses with. All of us are very approachable. We're happy when you approach us. So I mentioned it's already $3,000, and they provide for you to get subscriptions to the journals and to get books and to visit universities. And in addition to that, preparing for the GRE, which many schools are kind of doing away with that. Like the UC, you don't have to take the GRE anymore. But nonetheless, they may have other tests that you have to take, and is the part of the professionalizing experience, okay? The summer research experience, I really encourage those of you who apply and get it to think of that research experience, because it just opens the doors, it allows you to, I know some of the students in psychology have gone to San Diego, I think Berkeley. Please, if you get the Sally Casanova, keep your eyes on the summer research experience, because that's up to $7,000 that are free. You don't have to pay back. The eligibility, you must be upper division, junior, senior, start of the spring 2022, next year, right? And also be enrolling in our system. That's not going to be a qualification for the other program, okay? For the Sally Casanova, you have to be a student in our system. And then you need a faculty sponsor who will sponsor you throughout the program, yeah, because that same person is going to write letters of recommendation for you. International students are the only ones who I think don't qualify. You have to be a US citizen, permanent resident, California dreamer. Selection criteria, potential for success, high motivation, probable effectiveness of the plan in place. So let's say that you need to have a plan with your advisor, right? That is doable and likely to result in conferences, presentations, and publications would be ideal. And then that you also come from a population that is underrepresented, that has gone through disadvantages. And like I mentioned before, you could be poor, you'd be surprised how many things qualify, right, for disadvantage. Obviously, the other thing here is evidence of academic success. And what that means is that even if you have a 2.0, you may say, well, that's kind of difficult to reach the 3.0, the 3.7, that will get me into a master's program or doctoral program, but it's never too late. And that's why working with a mentor is very highly recommended. For the application details, you need to provide information on your personal background and education, 3 essays, and the 3 essays are very short, but they're very influential. And we'll go into those a little later. Faculty mentor, letter of recommendation. And let me say that when you go to someone for a letter of recommendation, you should always qualify that. You should always ask, can you write me a great letter of recommendation? Anyone can write a letter, but what if it's a bad letter, right? And then you need to provide a student budget plan, and your advisor can help you, and I can help you with that too. Your transcripts. This is very important. I need to approve that before you submit it, okay? In fact, I have to give you a link. Otherwise, you will not be able to submit your application without it. And typically, I work with your advisors, and most of you do a great job. So the essay questions, there are 3 of them, and they kind of enforce them to be short. 3,000 to 6,000 words, and describe your field. What is it that you want to do, and your ambitions, your goals and objectives. What are the elements of your educational experience, right? Community service or anything in your background that qualifies or motivating you to go on and that you will succeed. Also, to say something about the doctoral degree that you're interested in. How is it that one is going to serve in the future? How you're planning to come back to the professoriate, be a professor in the Cal State, and how you are preparing for it. You have to show your ambition, that you mean it, that you are someone who wouldn't have had a chance otherwise. So you make a good story, right? And your advisor and I can help you with that. Again, the letter of recommendation has to say that you are thinking of becoming a faculty or going to a doctoral program. Okay, that's very important. And there are qualifications for your GPA. As I mentioned before, don't be discouraged if you don't have a 3.0. If you had like very bad semesters, for instance, here in my office, we look at your record, and just before you graduate, sometimes we're able to do academic renewal. But a lot of times that academic renewal is for people that just need to graduate, not necessarily people who want to go into a doctoral program. So for the most part, just do your best to get good grades. We help you with your letter of recommendation. Let me see what else. You have it to be strategic, like make everything you take count related to your goals. I know when I was a student, I wanted to take everything under the sun. And it was good. I learned and satisfied my curiosity, but you may want to take like statistics, methodology. If you're in literature, maybe you want to emphasize a specific period, era. Depending on your discipline, show that you made progress that is added value to what you are doing. And then obviously do a good job, right, with that, demonstrating your abilities. So the student budget plan, it has to be $3,000, right? And I don't know why, but they take points off if you don't make it $3,000. No more, no less. And typically you can make up the numbers. You can say, I'm going to spend $800 to buy books to become an expert in this area, or I'm going to spend $700 for a course in GRE. But it has to add up to $3,000. They don't let you buy like iPads or computers. That's one. And we can help you as we get closer to that. They have instructions. But definitely anything that will add value to what you are doing, to your research, all of those are permissible. Again, the scoring criteria will be, and it's left out of here, one important one, I'll put in number 8 in a little bit. But have a good GPA that will help you get into a doctoral program. But I would say like a 3.7. If you're thinking of applying to a doctoral program, you need to have like 3.7 and up. And the experience, research experience, grade letters of recommendation. If you're undergraduate, if you're a master's level student, typically C is an F. If you're in a master's program, you don't want to C because that's bad. And your GPA just by default is going to be in the high 3.0s, if not 4.0. So that's one thing to keep in mind about your GPA. You need good letters of recommendation, relevance of your budget to what you want to do. You want research experience that is being guided with a good mentor and that resulted in conference presentations, maybe publications. Description of doctoral field when you want to do your work, that you have interesting things to look at in your research, that you want to be a faculty member, and that you plan to give back, to the CSU, which is very diverse. You want to reach out to students and maybe be a great mentor. And then they'll score that and they'll add one more thing, which is disadvantage. Okay, they don't put it there, but that disadvantage is like if you are poor, they look at the financial aid, if you receive financial aid, hardships, maybe you come from a single parent, right? That's another qualification. You have food insecurity and shelter insecurity. You've been homeless, right? There is an equity gap and they're emphasizing that too. And the way they determine that is by the numbers, right? But also what you say. So that's why I'm saying the essay is very important. Show that hardship and how do you have overcome obstacles. So application tips, obviously you're eligible. So maybe sure that you tie that to the being underrepresented. If you have a lower GPA, like I mentioned before, you're not completely out. So maybe you're a second language, it's English, right? And that may be one reason. Maybe you have a disability, that's another thing too. And then align your education experience with your goals. It pays to do a little background search in the area that you want to pursue, because maybe you want to go into engineering and you're a woman, right? And there's not enough women there. So that's something like very crucial that you want to emphasize. Or maybe the type of background that you may have. Maybe you have a disability and you want to do cognitive psychology, right? So how can you help, people with disabilities learn better, using this field? So things like that count. Then if you've done diversity contributions, like I know one of our students who did a lot to volunteer, with sororities and to go and mentor other students, and that really counted a lot. And this person is in a PhD program now. So your current area of research and how is it that this is going to be relevant for the future? So maybe like nursing, right? That may be one area that right now there is a tremendous need for nurses. And if you go into a PhD program, it's a professional degree. And typically they don't want professional degrees. What I mean by that is like a practitioner's degree. So like in psychology, we have a PsyD, that's for people that want to be practitioners, right? And that will not get you a job at a university because it's considered a practitioner's degree, not a scholar degree. So you want to make, but in nursing that may not, they don't count that because there's a tremendous need for people with doctorates in nursing, right? So it's possible that there are exceptions to the rules. So whenever you see something like a no to this, know that there could be a qualifier. Make clear why you should be selected. Like I said, show need, show ability, show motivation, and those are things that you convey in your essay. Obviously, it goes without saying, do the best job to have a perfect application and that it's complete. Make sure that you always press the last button, just submit, right? You'd be surprised how many people have that everything was perfect, but they forget to submit. Typically, you get confirmation, right? But sometimes it goes into your spam and I've seen that happen. Again, no more, no less than $3,000. And then some deadlines. So right now you came to this workshop. I'm just giving you an overview. You have over the next few months to prepare, like approach a professor. You can always come to me and we can talk individually. December, January is when you will start doing your application, and it's due February 4th. So you need to give me a draft of your application by the middle of January. We need to have it done and complete by February 4th. At that time, I'm going to give you a link where you can submit your application. So here you can meet with me, but some of you have advisors that have done this before. So if that is the case, obviously you have more time, right? So if you have an advisor that has helped students submit, work closely with your advisor, and then you don't have to rely on me as much, especially some of our professors have been very successful and they can technically just working through their professors, save time and write a very effective application and successful application.
Luis, can I ask you really quickly, was that timeline the deadline for CDIP or for Sally Casanova?
This is only for Sally Casanova. I'm going to do the CDIP in a little bit, okay?
Can I ask a question?
Yes, go ahead.
You said for the Sally Casanova that you had to be enrolled. What happens if you're not, what if I just finished my graduate degree?
Then you can be applied to a master's program. And if you apply to the master's program, that would be one way to qualify. But it's a requirement that you be enrolled, The only requirement is that you be enrolled in the following semester. So are you able to delay your graduation? You can ask them and then, graduate in the next semester.
Okay. All right.
And then there is a thing called, if your program may have what is called continuous enrollment, and that one is only $75. So let me go over the next program and then we'll answer all the questions that you have. This one was established in '87. It's lottery money also, and $53 million they given out. And they have had a lot of people, right, go through this program. Most of them can come back to the Cal State, and they do, right? Many of our faculty, we have about 40 faculty here in our university who went through this program, right? So there are a lot of professors here. So it definitely works. So let's see what else can I tell you then. So it provides it has to be an accredited program. So you cannot go to like Phoenix or some of the other for-pay universities, right, online universities. It's possible, like I said, because you might be doing something that is very unique, and the only way to get into that program is through online. I've seen it happen. One of the students that we sponsor last year got this loan, and she's doing a master's of marriage and family PhD, and will be able to work in areas where there is high need. So she actually got the loan. And again, you need a faculty mentor. It allows you to apply for other mini grants like the dissertation and travel grants. After receiving your doctoral degree, then if you work for us, any Cal State, you get 20% forgivable over every year. So in 5 years, it's paid for. And the unfortunate thing is that you still have to pay taxes, okay? Just like I mentioned before. Loan details, again, you get 10 per year, up to 30,000. You could get less, and you can work around that. If you go to another university that is not a Cal State, then they give you 15 years and they give you a low interest rate. So it's okay, it's a low interest, lower than the federal government, I believe. If you go to another, let me see, part-time, if you only work part-time for us, which could happen, because maybe if you hire as a professor, tenure track, meaning that, eventually you get your job for life, that's what tenure means, right? Then you're full-time and that's 20%. But if you only get hired part-time as a lecturer, they still forgive the loan. And I don't know how many of our attendees today are working for our university already. Maybe they have a master's degree and they're teaching for us. So those students, they want to finance 20% of the candidates, lecturers. Okay, so there is a great chance that you could get financed if you work for us already. And then the goal is to get you to work full-time for us. So that's something else to keep in mind. You want to be enrolled in an accredited program, right? Undergraduates that have a master's degree or in the master's program can apply. I myself applied when I was in the master's program because I had a 3.0 as an undergraduate and I have research experience. And the reason I tell you that is that it's never too late, right? So if you're doing your bachelor's and you're almost ready to graduate, don't worry, apply to a master's program, get your mentor, and you will be able to do as I did, get your master's and go to a PhD program. This one is the one that I mentioned. You don't have to be a student from the Cal State. Okay, so if you are a student or people, who are from another university, but what is important here is that you need a professor from the Cal State to sponsor you. That's a requirement. So that's the thing to keep in mind here. Oh, it's 1/4, right? Who hold positions, California Faculty Association. So it looks like you have to be on that contract, right, with the CFA. You also need a collaborative plan of support, and that one is kind of key because the mentor is going to make a commitment to support you, to show you, to help you with teaching, to prepare your documents, to help you publish. So there is that symbiotic relationship that goes on. It's not like the primary, because when you go to your doctoral program, you have a main advisor there who will do the same thing. But at least for our system, right? Like what is it that we do in our system? So it's a great additional support by keeping the mentor from here, who is going to prepare you to go to the next stage. You also need to present in your application an announcement from a position. So they do this so that you can show that there will be a need for this type of work in the future, right? Some states, they have low enrollment and like English, right? There are so many people in English that jobs in English are very difficult, right? So you will sometimes, that's why they want you to show an announcement, that there will be a need in the area where you are focusing on, that there are jobs and that you're going to prepare according to the specifications of that job announcement. Then again, you need your 3 letters of recommendation. And again, I see everything is in order and that I approve. It's a minor thing. The selection criteria, right? Potential to complete a doctoral degree. And typically that comes in your resume. You have experience, you have research experience, you have a good GPA, you have the support of your advisor, you have 2 more people that can speak to your qualifications, and that you are very motivated to be a professor. So if you want to go work for government, that would be a minus. Don't put that in your application. You can always do that later, but you should go in with the intention to be a professor and to come back to us, because that will add points to your application. And that you are really invested and willing to support students who are first generation of diverse backgrounds, and that you will be a great mentor for them too. They really look into that because again, they want to recruit more diverse faculty. And then what is the last point here? That there are in areas that is difficult to get professors. So maybe you're a woman, in engineering doesn't have that many women, right? So that in itself is going to add more weight to your application. Statistics, right? So sometimes in statistics, some people may be underrepresented, so that might be another one. And if you can show numbers, even better, but you don't have to. So believe it or not, there is a place where you can go and look at the current positions in our system. So if you do this one, CSU careers, Cal State EDU, you will be able to see what type of positions are open. And typically that will be, so you could go and say something like, there are 20 applications for animal psychology, right? And that shows a need, that we need people in this area, right? If you don't find any applications there, that's a good sign that that's probably not a good area too, right? So, okay, this is the deadline. So the completed applications are here by January 28th. And the reason that this have to be done is because you have to be recommended. There is a graduate council of directors, graduate program directors, who will go over these applications and they have to recommend, okay? And it takes them about a week. So if you're a day or 2 late, it's not a problem. And typically for the most part, everyone is recommended, but occasionally they have said no, right? And this is students who don't work closely with the mentor, or maybe their GPA is super low, or there is some problem, But for the most part, if everything is in order, which often by being here tells me that you're already interested and motivated, it'll be. And then in my case, because I want to do everything I can for you, I'm going to give you a chance. If I see something, I'll mention it to you. I know last year, I worked with many people that had already worked with great mentors and everything, but it was always nice to see a second set of eyes, right? To see if I could catch something. And we were very successful. I mean, that approach worked. I hope we can use it again. But one thing I cannot do anything about is the research experience. So that's why you want to work closely with your professor. So, how do you go to a conference? How do you do your presentation? How do you write a paper that is effective, and it can lead to publication? So you want to make sure that those qualifications, that you're well trained, that you seek more experiences that will enhance your qualifications. Even subscribing to a journal, being a member of the association in your area, those things look good. And economics has the American Association of Economics, the American Psychological Association, right? And then some of our professors, they belong to, I don't know, what do you call them? Distinguished honor societies, right, within the field. And those societies are really good because they're more specialized. So that's really, really good. So right now we're meeting, there will be different, you can approach me anytime. Your application should be done by this period because they're not due until March, but in this month, I have to do a review of them. I have to present it to the committee here who will recommend it. And then I have to go to the president, and the president has to write a letter, one letter for all of you. And then I have to do a matrix where I show what programs you're applying to and a little bit of background based on your application that I've seen. And then that goes to the chancellor. The thing that is not said here too is that it goes to the chancellor's office, and then they have professors. I don't know if Amy, you've been invited, hopefully you can be invited in the future, but I know our other colleague, Isabel Sumaya, has been invited, and they review these applications. So it'll be people that have experience, right, with students. So when they look at the applications, they know what is good and what is bad. So they spend about 4 months, and then in May, this time it was July, they'll let us know. But let me also say that they're going to put more money. So that's why I would like more people to apply, because they finance, I believe, like 85 applicants, and they want to double that. So there is going to be more money. That's why it's important that we get more people, to apply, because it just looks good in your resume. Our new chancellor, is very vested in diversifying the faculty. So he really wants to get, and then we're shorthanded too. Our university is like last in the system in terms of tenure track, right? The professors who are here for life, and they're the ones who run the university. And we're like the lowest. This university is going to hire more people, and we have a good track record of many of our people that have gone through the program being hired here. So just know that the future looks promising, and many people are retiring. You probably heard today that many people just are tired, right? They stop working, they want to go. So yeah, questions. I hope you don't mind that I put you in the spot. My colleague in psychology, Amy Ankerskouch, is that how you say your name? I don't even know. She has been terrific at sponsoring many students. She's done it for a few years, and you cannot find a more dedicated faculty person. She loves being here. She could be at another university, and she's that great. She's super good, but she loves being here because she loves you guys. And people who work in her lab. She sent a lot of students. She's got many of the students admitted to PhD programs, and many of the students got this fellowship. They're fellows, right?
Thank you for the kind words, Luis. But yeah, everyone should apply. I think the best advice is what you've already said, is make sure you're working closely with your faculty mentor and getting that research experience, because I think that's really highly valued by committees that will be evaluating the applications.
And I should probably speak to the experience of being a professor. A professor going to grad school for 4 to 5 or 5 to 8 years. It depends if you have a short or long-term plan, but every minute you spend in grad school is just great. You're always surrounded by new ideas, working with intelligent people. Grad school is just life-changing. I think most professors, if you ask them, how was grad school? Even though it was difficult, most of them will say, oh my gosh, it's the best thing that ever happened to me in my life, right? And then when you become a professor, you're just like becoming a student for life, right? And you're helping people, you're around intelligent people, just a great profession. And coming back to the Cal State, I myself went to Cal State Fullerton, and then from there I went to UC Santa Cruz. So coming back to here, when I see many of you, I see myself. I didn't think I could do a PhD, I went day by day, but being motivated, working hard, all those things paid off. And you will be great professors here.
There's a question. I'm currently in the doctoral program in educational leadership, the EDD program, can they qualify for the CDIP?
Yeah, that's a great question. Okay. I'm going to give you two examples. One of them is that we had a professor in nursing. The master's degree is a terminal degree. I don't know if you know what that means, like in communications, you can have a master's degree and still be a professor, right? Maybe journalism. In art, fine arts degree, you could be a professor too. Right? So the person in nursing had a master's degree, wanted to do a PhD, and they will not finance her because she was already a professor, right? Here, tenure track. Even though getting the doctorate will make her more qualified, this person, but they will not finance that. The deal, the doctoral leadership, is that what it's called? Leadership?
Educational leadership.
Doctoral in educational leadership. That one is considered a practitioner's degree. It's not considered a research degree because you're going to get an EDD, right? But let me say that don't dismay, because right now they made it more strict. It used to be that if you could show a publication that you were doing research orientation, right? And we have people who graduated from the program here who became professors. And not only that, they went into administration, right? But now they became more strict, because that's the main thing. They want our teachers, principals, people to come to our program, and that doctoral degree will help them, apply material in the community for teaching. And so they're not allowing that. But I will say that if maybe you're doing the research, right? If you're in the program, because they have to do a dissertation now, and I know there. But typically when you go apply for a job, you will see that they're seeking professors in education, and they'll put specifically PhD required, right? And if you have an EDD, that makes it a little more difficult, right? So that's something to keep in mind. But I think it's possible, okay? Because I've seen it happen. And you can also get great jobs in administration. So you will see many people in administration have EDDs, right? You don't teach, but you make more money than professors. I don't know if that's an incentive, and you can still help a lot of students, right? Another question, if you got an accredited degree from another university?
That one, yeah, that one is okay, right? You can go to another school.
Yeah, as long as it's accredited, it can be an international program. Let me see, I saw Joshua, I said, okay, Joshua, go first, and then Carolina.
Hi, thank you, Dr. Vega, for putting this on. I'm interested in the EDD program for the CDIP. Would that only be for PhD programs, or could an EDD candidate apply for that too?
Where are you going to apply for the EDD? Here with us?
Yeah, maybe CSUB next year, and I would do a dissertation research.
Mm-hmm. And Northridge has a program, right? And they have two tracks, community college and Cal State. And I think they've been able to fund some of the EDDs, but right now they're becoming very strict. And the reason, like I mentioned, because if you look for professorships, they want the PhD, right? But if that's the route to go, I will not discourage you, If you work for the university, sometimes like in our university here, if you get into the EDD and you get a job with us, then you don't pay, tuition is free. So that's another thing to think about, okay? Try a PhD if you can, because like USC, UCLA, they have, PhDs in education.
Okay, thank you very much.
Caroline?
Hi, it's nice to meet you, Dr. Vega. I have two questions, and first, some context for my first question. I am applying for a PhD in leadership studies from California Baptist University in Riverside. I'm hoping to start in the fall of next year, and I was already what I was planning to do when I heard about this program. I'm very interested in teaching at the university level. But as I was looking over the Cal State jobs, there's not a direct leadership studies program through the Cal State system. I've seen similar titles. I've seen business administration. I've seen public policy and administration. So I guess my question is, how locked in to the title does the Cal State system tend to be? Because I don't want to, I would like to be honest in my, if this is not a doctorate that's going to lead to that, it kind of changes my, my motivation to apply, or, I suppose, just would that be something that they would be flexible on in employment? So
here's my suggestion, okay? We have doctoral programs in the Cal State. Many of our universities have that. So I recommend that you go and look at the faculty there and look at their degrees, right? And look at the background they have, because some of them have secondary education, some of them have elementary education, some of them have special education, right? So a lot of times what happens is that you may have to apply to not necessarily the leadership, right? But sometimes they look for the leadership, because maybe they want a director. So I don't think, especially, would you be getting a PhD at that place, the one you're applying to?
Yes.
Okay, I think, that's the main thing, that you're getting a PhD. And then you may have to do a little bit of creativity there in terms
That's
of
what I was
how you
wondering about,
train
is just how creative I might need to be.
But I can tell you, like many people who are in the chancellor's office, they have leadership, and then even here in our own university, there are several people that have EDDs who have positions, and that can teach too. But it'll be difficult to get into. See, if you say, I want to be a professor, I want to teach, and you get a degree, right? And you end up maybe working in administration, that it will still be forgivable because you're working for us.
Thank you. And then my second question, I graduated from Cal State with my master's in 2008. And so as I was going over who is currently on faculty, there is nobody that was a part of my master's program that I still have, that is still at Cal State.
Oh.
And so I don't know a faculty member to ask. So I wondered if you had any recommendation about how to start that process.
This program, you don't have to be a Cal State graduate, right? But you are, so which is a plus. Huh? But people from any university can come as long as they have a faculty sponsor, right? So then the answer is, given that you don't have anyone here, that you don't know any professors yet, no? Well, I mean, you know me, I can support you, right? What program did you graduate from?
I was from the Masters of Counseling Psychology program.
Oh.
And they've had almost complete turnover. People had retired or passed away. It's just, they're just gone. It's all, even Dr. Bacon, who I knew from the psychology program, he's retired as well. So I was like, oh, that was my last person that I thought might still be there.
He's actually still around, Carolyn. You probably could reach out to him. He's still active in the department. So I would reach out to him, because I bet he.
I thought I read a whole article in the newspaper where he retired. Did that change?
He did, but he's doing a program where he's got 1 foot on retirement and 1 foot still on campus. So.
Oh, all right. Thank you. That's very helpful.
Yeah, he's doing the Quality of Life Center. So I think there is an opportunity to collaborate with him, to assist, because that's in itself, making quality of life for our students better, So there may be a chance to even do a little bit of research with him if he's open. So send an email to him and say, oh, I heard that you're still here. It's called the Faculty Early Retirement Program. And that means that, we're here for 5 years and teaching half time. But I know he's very active in his program, and maybe he can use help.
That sounds great. What is the incentive for the faculty to participate? I mean, do they get like a little stipend, or is it just out of their hearts? It's out of their hearts. Okay.
It's just faculty who love students, like Dr. Kanskar, right? And she loves students, and I mean, she's making time on her Friday afternoon to be here, to support me, to support you. So, and like I said, you can talk to me later, and I can try to figure out more ways. I know we have new professors there who are very nice, and Dr. Zamora is outstanding, and the other professor, Liam Kelly, he's also outstanding. But it's great. I think it's really great that you're already applying to a program. Go ahead, Tamara. You had your hand up for a while. If you don't, go ahead.
Joshua asked about the EDD. Would JD be applicable as well, or can we get a Juris Doctorate degree?
Because in the CSU doesn't have a law school, right? So you could be a JD and to be a professor, right? But because we don't have a law school, that kind of puts it into that practitioner type of degree, right? Less likely to have like a list of things that they don't find, right?
I was just gonna add, Dr. Vega, I have another question that was asked on the chat. A DAT and a DPT degree, are those part of those professional degrees? I'm not sure.
Yeah, the doctoral leadership education. Yeah, that one is considered practitioner. But the nursing degree, which is practitioner, they count that, right? Go ahead, please. Ask your question.
The loan situation of is it related to the FAFSA or the federal loans, or is it separate from federal loans?
It'll be separate.
And then are you able to do both? I missed the beginning of the Sally Casanova, I apologize, but are you able to apply for both?
Here is the situation where you can apply for both, okay? So let's say that if you have a high GPA, like 3.7, and you're undergraduate, you're a senior, right? Almost a senior. And you've been working with a professor, you have experience, you have a good GPA, right? And you have a sense of what you want to do. I would say you can apply to both, right? but your intention is to go to the doctoral program, right? If accepted, huh?
Mhm.
And but let's say that you're unsure because maybe you have a romantic relationship. You're not sure yet where you want to go next, right? You want to give yourself more time, right? And then you can apply for the master's. You may say, I want to do a master's first, take a little more time, or I'm not really sure if I want to pursue this profession, even though you have the qualifications. Then the Casanova, right? Very likely you will get it because you have high qualifications. And then you can be here another year or two and gain more experience, more publications. And the advantage of doing that, sometimes you can go to a more university, of your dreams, because if you have more experience, so you can apply to both. But often my recommendation would be go to a PhD program. In my case, my own, Dr. Ganskars was able to go from undergraduate to PhD program, right? But she's smart and everything. And maybe I'm smart too, but I didn't have the grades, right? Because I didn't know I was going to do a PhD. But I had a 3.0 and then I went to a master's program. And if you go to a master's program, that will open the door. Working with your professor in terms of doing research, let me say a few words about that, okay? It's a commitment. I know Dr. Ganskars in her lab, right? The students come and could you describe a little bit the research experience in your lab so the students know? Because I know you have sponsored a lot of students, right? And technically, you almost have to leave sometimes in the lab, right? I mean, you need to be passionate about what you want to do.
Sure. Yeah. The students that I've had that went through the Sally Casanova program that became scholars, in my particular lab, we're testing drugs of abuse, and we're using animal models to do so. My students are in the lab 7 days a week because rats don't know if it's Saturday or Sunday, and they don't know if it's a holiday. I try not to do that for extended periods of time because that would be a lot for an undergraduate to handle. But yeah, it is a big time commitment. And work commitment on top of the classes that the students are already taking.
Yeah, so you see there is like demands to do well in your grades, to put in the time. Some of the students that I have sponsored, imagine writing a paper and having to rewrite it 30 times, 30 drafts, right? Because you need to get a publication and that's, you do it, just know that you're not going to be doing a product, right? That you can sell, doing a paper from one night to the next, that's a product, it's done. But doing a paper that will get better and better, right? And that's science. Go ahead, Craig. Let me give Craig a chance and then Caroline, we'll go back to you.
So kind of going off of what Tamara's question was, and you kind of answered it, but you had answered the question. The question was, I guess, whether with the specific professional degrees would be eligible. Tamara had asked about the JD, and my question to Martha was the DPT or DAT, which are Doctor of Physical Therapy or Doctor of Athletic Training. My master's degree is in kinesiology and rehabilitation sciences, and I currently teach sports medicine classes here at CSUB. And I've got options, right? I am thinking about the PhD in kinesiology as well, but would a Doctor of Athletic Training qualify, since that would fully support the coursework that I am currently teaching here at CSUB? Doctor of Athletic Training is what I would be interested in, or the PhD.
You will show how many jobs are there. Let's say there were a lot of jobs, right? Listed. That shows need, right? And then if you can show that this program has a research aspect, right? Mm-hmm. That will be another one. Huh? So, I mean, I think it's possible, even though they mentioned here, right? They didn't put JD here. I was looking for JD, so I'm surprised, huh? Yeah, I think you already work for us, right? I mean, that in itself gives you an edge because you already work for us. I think you have a good chance and I will confirm.
Thank you.
Caroline, go ahead.
Yes, so for the CDIP, the faculty mentor, do they need to be in the area that you are trying to get your PhD in, or do they simply need to be a faculty mentor already working at a Cal State?
It has to be a Cal State faculty, that's the qualifier. And I use the example, I'm sponsoring a student who is a therapist, and I'm not a therapist, right? But I'm helping with the research aspects of it, right? So I think it's possible, as long as you, the professor is going to have to write a letter and a plan. So you have to relay the work, the way you're sponsoring and supporting the student kind of relates to the work they will be doing. Yeah.
Thank you.
I really want more people to apply because, like I said, there is money. They're going to double the money that is there. So if you know other people that would be willing to, to talk to us, and we want to do everything we can. So go ahead, Elias. I know Elias is here. Go ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Vega. I just had a quick question regarding the letters of recommendation. For those, do they have to be academia specific? So coming from a professor, or can they be like more broader into perhaps occupation?
So I know that you're interested in epidemiology and public health and all of that, right? So if you work for a clinic, that's like applied experience. You know, I think you could have a letter like that. Maybe someone will work in the lab at the hospital here, you know, with people that have traumatic accidents and they do scans and things like that. Would that something count? That something like that would count in your field, would you say?
Probably only one letter. If you're going to focus it outside of academia, I would try to get 2 other letters from professors.
Yeah, in some fields it may count, right? But typically, because you're more research oriented, you would like to get the academic, you know, aspects of it. But I mean, what would probably count if it meets those qualifications that is highly related? Go ahead, Alex.
So I might have missed this part of your presentation because I'm actually driving and listening to the presentation. But so I'm interested in PhD, getting a PhD in management. Currently, basically any PhD is only being offered by UC schools. So I mean, would this program still apply to me or?
Yes. Do you, let me assume, are you an undergraduate and you're thinking of a PhD program and you're thinking of a UC, right? Do you have a sponsor? Do you know a professor that would be willing to serve as a mentor, advisor? Technically, PhD programs require the research experience, right? And it could be like in the lab, or it could be maybe you wrote a paper, like a literature review. So something, because that's what they want to see in these programs, right? Maybe it's theoretical. You have those things in place?
Well, I currently just started my first semester of my MBA. I know I'm ahead of the curve, or I'm ahead of this, but I just wanted to see what I needed to do exactly. And so I know I'll be able to get a professor that will be able to sponsor me and maybe even take me under his wing to do that research part of the requirement. Like I said, I'm only in the first semester of my MBA degree, so I know I have a little time before I can even apply. Well, not that much, because it's after second year I can apply, from what I understood.
Well, I'll give you the good news, okay? There are 2 pieces of good news here. One is that because you're in the master's program, you can apply to the Sally Casanova for the $3,000, and that to build your experience, to build the research experience for doctoral programs, okay? That's one good piece of news. The second one is that getting business professors is very hard, and I'm sure you know why, right? Because they make more money in the business world than they do teaching, right? So you definitely will get a job if you're willing to be a professor, especially, you know, Cal State. You know, apply for the Sally Casanova.
Yeah, so I can apply for that even though I'm still on my first year technically of my MBA degree, my graduate degree.
You fully qualify because you meet the master's degree. You're enrolled, right?
Yeah, I'm enrolled. Yes.
And it's just a matter of choosing a mentor who is willing to sponsor you with a project, okay? A project that will lead to make you competitive for a PhD program.
I did have another question about the letters of recommendation. I know that you said one of them has to be from the sponsor, basically from an educator that's sponsoring you. But can you, I mean, if you wanted to submit more than one, like maybe from, you know, maybe from another graduate, from another, or just to attest to your character, how determined you are that you're going to complete what, you know, you set out what you're going to complete, you know?
I can say that I have seen students provide high school letters of recommendation and other professors.
But you know, the main advisor is going to provide a letter for you, right? The person, because you need to be sponsored by a professor.
Yeah.
And then if you are taking a class from another professor, you know, typically that's another way. You know, most professors are willing to write a letter, right? Especially if you're doing well. And then if you don't have another professor that can write the letter, then, you know, then you can default to you know, a person from work, or, you know, someone that can test to your abilities, right?
The last and final question. I know management programs or anything in the business and PhD, I mean, these are, some of the UC schools are highly competitive. They're very, I mean, they're very prestigious. You know, they're really world, like UCLA's program, Berkeley's program, and I know they have their own requirements to get into those programs. I mean, I still have to meet those requirements.
So, but just know, just like I mentioned before, you have to look at this as a long journey, right? And if your mind is into it, you know, you'll get there. And the journey is not that bad, you know, because I know you worry about money, you worry about time commitments, but if you have that determination, and that's why I mentioned motivation early on. So don't be discouraged. I can talk to you offline later, or you feel free to send me an email and I'll send you my Zoom link. That's what we did last year. And then spending more time and looking at your individual circumstances, I'm able to give you better feedback, okay? all of you should write to me. We can just chat and I can give you my wisdom. And if I don't know, I know professors, like Dr. Kanksas, who was here, right? She can also, or other professors here who I know can help us. Go ahead.
Luis, so it only is one letter for Sally Casanova. You were right.
Oh,
It's
okay.
just the letter comes from your faculty mentor for that program.
Thank you, Amy. So yeah, please do feel free to, send me an email and I can meet with you and I can look at the situation and I can give you tips on how to talk to professors. I can just interview you to see what your interests are. And I can give you different examples. Sometimes it just takes that idea generation, right? That when you're on your own, it's difficult.
I have a quick question for you about the application. So the deadline is January 28th and grad school interviews aren't necessarily already occurring at that time. So I've had a number of students that didn't get invited to interviews until after the application was already submitted. So my question is there a way that we can update those applications to represent the fact that they're not only are they applying, but they're also being invited to interview? Some of the interviews, February and March, which are after the deadline has already passed for the applications to be in. So I'm just wondering if there's a way that we can update either you or the campus somehow to reflect the fact that these students are being invited to the campuses.
Because I have control until March when they go to the chancellor, that if they have those interviews, I can insert a note, right? And I will talk to them that even if it comes from the advisor, probably even better. Right? Because actually we were able to see that in the last round. I saw someone say it's already in interviews. I think Isabel said that, right? And that was great because that just shows that, my gosh, the student is likely to get in and that adds more weight. If you tell me this many students are already doing interviews, I'll send a message and copy you and you'll respond, saying that, that I believe that this information needs to be on the file, because I think it just adds weight. Huh? And that way we can give the students a better chance.
Yeah, thank you.
So these are the Casanova, and then there's a picture of the students. This was in economics, which sometimes Alex, economics professors could also be mentors for you in management. And then this one student here, he was in one of my courses. He worked a little bit with me, but then he went into the lab with Dr. Kankas, and he's one of the students that got the 2. Right, and I can tell you that he worked day and night, and he had a lot of options. He got into multiple universities, and it just goes to show you. That's the other thing I would recommend: apply to multiple places. Right, so that's Jacob, and then here's another one that got an honorable mention, and is doing terrific work. He's planning to do sociology, and sure enough, you'll recognize someone here. Dr. Kankas is here too. With what's the name of your student here? Where is she going now? Where?
She's at Arizona State University.
Oh, wow, that's terrific. Tucson is a nice place. Wow. So yeah, like I said, I'll do everything I can to support you. So you contact me and, I'll make time for you, and then we'll do everything we can to do our best. We have a good track record. This time we ranked number 3 for the CDIP, which is very impressive for us being small, So what if we can go higher, right? So with those of you, if you apply, we'll do everything to push you to the next level. And the thing that excites me is putting money in your pocket and giving you the opportunity to go to the next stage. So count on our support, okay? Let us know how we can help you, and good luck to you the rest of the semester. If you know other people, send them my way, okay? Just because they were not here, it doesn't mean that we can still help. So thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Amy, for joining us today. You're great. I always appreciate you in so many ways. Thank you.